when Fisker crumbled, we found out that this whole topic of intellectual property, of what did we exactly buy when we bought a car, is completely untested in the legal world.
Because we don't have those warranty, it means that every issues that you are facing as an owner on your car, you need to fix them by yourself or to go to a service providers that will, of course, charge you for their time.
Some people just want to go give their car to the mechanic or the dealer and say, fix this thing, and then they come back and they get their car and they move on with their life.
It's enabling owners, like new owners like you, that come on board, that is super fulfilling.
You know, having that new vision, give like a new perspective of things.
They are itching for this fight.
Exactly. Searching for trouble.
Yes.
And
so much more fun to live this way, I'm telling you. So
Right.
much more fun.
Yeah.
Sybil can't have a normal car. No.
I'm going to buy another one, I'm telling you. I was like this close to getting a second one. Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Fisker Owners Association Deep Dive. My name is Miles. I'm based in Washington, D.C., and I wanted to have an opportunity to invite two special guests here to the show today to talk to us about what specifically is Tsunami, Tidal Wave, and Undercurrent. And the purpose of this series is really to showcase some of the people who are working behind the scenes to make this community-supported model function. The FOA is unique, and in the history of vehicles around the world, it has really never been like this ever before. And what we have today is a really interesting conversation for you to learn about how all of those components work and how you can get parts for your car, how software is being developed, but specifically to get to know the people behind the scenes who you might not have met previously. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to you, Sybil.
Hey, my name is Sybil, and I'm based in the San Francisco Bay Area. I bought my Ocean back in January of 24 and then jumped on to start volunteering with the FOA towards the middle end of June of 24 and have been kind of volunteering ever since. I have no official title within FOA, but I am the CEO and one of the board members of Tsunami Automotive, and one of the officers of Undercurrent.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And Guillaume?
Yeah, so my name is Guillaume. I'm based in Montreal, Canada. I've been in this association since July, I would say, of that last year, essentially. And I've been working with all the great people that we have since then. And I have, let's say, 10 years of experience plus around connectivities and software development and fleet management stuff. So that's why I guess I end up as being Undercurrent CEO, essentially, and one of the board official member as well. So sum it up about it. And also same, I don't have any position under FOA as well.
Fantastic. And so I'm actually a recent owner of a Fisker Ocean. So I only purchased mine about 3 or 4 months ago. And when I first got into this, I knew the backstory of what had happened to Fisker Ocean vehicles. I knew about the bankruptcy. Obviously, I didn't go in just blindly. I knew what I was getting myself into, but I didn't understand exactly what the Fisker Owners Association was. That wasn't something that I really even thought about. But then as soon as I started driving the vehicle, started to get to know it, I started to realize that there was all this really important information online, that it would be really beneficial and valuable for me to be a part of an organization that had like-minded owners trying to support themselves and picking up the pieces after a company like Fisker went bankrupt. When I remember when I first joined the FOA, the names of these entities, Tsunami, Tidal Wave, Undercurrent, it just seemed, they obviously had like an ocean theme to them. But besides that, I had no idea what they actually represented. So I was wondering, Sybil, if you could help us just from a very broad perspective, like what is the purpose of these three entities and why are they, why were they created, basically?
Yeah. So the first entity was the Fisker Owners Association, and that was set up as the corporate structure for that was set up as a 501c7, which is technically a like an affinity organization, a social club, and it's set up with not-for-profit status in order to advocate for owners of oceans. under that structure, as a club and not, a for-profit corporation or even a regular not-for-profit or so, there are strict corporate rules on revenue and money coming in and money going out. Because it's a club, it can really only collect dues and donations. It can't sell things. So when it came up from the membership that the primary concerns were availability and access to parts, the longevity and updatedness of software and software continuity. Started realizing, well, we can't just ask for donations for parts. Parts have to be bought and sold, and you can't do that under a 501c7 because they're not dues. And so the second corporate entity to get set up was Tsunami Automotive, because back in the day, everybody was worried about keys. And if they lose their keys, they're kind of screwed because you have a $80,000 lawn ornament that you can't get into. And so Tsunami was created in order to arrange a bulk key purchase from Chevalier. We could accept sales revenue, and then we can issue purchase orders. And if Tsunami is selling keys or reselling keys, then it would also take on liability because now it's selling a car key, right? If a car key goes bad, something bad happens to either the car or the car occupant, there's liability associated with that. And so the two main purposes for why Tsunami was set up initially was to carry that liability of product and to keep that separate from membership dues, because you don't want one bad key fob and a lawsuit that comes from it to put everybody's membership dues at risk for the entire organization. The second one was just from a United States, legal entity standpoint. A 501c7 can't have revenue. So key fobs, windshields, whatever, we couldn't sell them. The next entity to be created was actually Tidal Wave. So Tsunami is a U.S. corporation, and our membership is pretty much split, almost 50-50 between North America and Europe. And the Europeans were like, what about us? And although Tsunami could sell product to Europe, it didn't quite make sense to have European products shipped to the United States and then shipped back to Europe if we could help it. And so we were looking for volunteers that would be able to set up a corporate entity in Europe. And Gite, one of the now FOA board members, she rallied up a group of passionate Europeans to form a separate corporate entity for Europe called Tidal Wave to provide parts, to bulk purchase and distribute parts in Europe. I should probably clarify that FOA is the sole shareholder of Tsunami. And so Fisker was supposed to provide a pipeline of parts and then also continuity of connected services. So when I bought my vehicle, I took into account that it was going to be online and have telecommunication service associated with it, that certain computer modules would be updated, and these software things would all be provided. And that was the kind of last piece that needed to be supported. And that's where Undercurrent came about, was the creation of a software connectivity and cloud platform provider. And we needed to keep that separate because if something, again, litigious happens with software updates or a computer module or so, we wanted to be able to protect the not-for-profit membership base and then also to protect the parts distribution chain. So hence 3 separate entities. And because there are 3 separate entities in the eyes of the law in the United States, their management and their day-to-day operations need to be kept separate. And this is one of the reasons why Guillaume does not have an official title within FOA, why I do not have an official title within FOA, is that these are separately operating entities that report to and have their own governance and own board of directors. Um, yeah. So those are the entities.
That's fantastic. I mean, this is again where I come at this from kind of a new user experience, right? So I have had many cars in my life. And if something breaks on any other car, like let's say a Volkswagen or a Toyota or something, you go to the dealer or you go to a mechanic and they can source parts and they can get the part that broke, or they can fix the software, or they can issue an update, or they can do something to service your vehicle. And everybody, when I told them that I was buying a Fisker Ocean, if they knew anything about the car at all, which wasn't everybody, like most people don't follow this stuff, but like the few people who did know the story were like, but the company's gone. What do you do if something breaks, or what do you do if something doesn't work? And what I thought was amazing was, upon purchasing the car, if I wanted to get something like an extra key fob, I went through Tsunami's website, found the key fob, and ordered that and some NFC cards, and they were delivered to my door. I also purchased a trailer hitch because I really wanted to be able to throw my bike on the back of the car, or like a cargo thing on the trailer hitch. I love having the trailer hitch on other cars that I've had, so I really wanted one. I ordered it from Tsunami. It got delivered to my door. And what's amazing about that to me is that since buying the car, I've bought a lot of things that have really upgraded the experience. Like I have new door handles arriving. I have all these things, and I can say, as a person in the United States, even if I were also, in the European Union or in Canada, like having access to that network is incredible, because you have parts, you have service techs nearby, you have now, as Guillaume was also describing, you have this app that was created by Majd and other members of the team to give all this new functionality to the car that we didn't have before. It's like going above and beyond what the experience would have been from Fisker. And I can tell you from my personal experience, it's better in a lot of ways than having, like, my relationship with Volkswagen, for example, is like zero. Like, I don't talk to them. They never issue software updates. I don't get a whole lot. There's like the third rollout of door handles happening now that I don't even want, because my door handles work perfectly fine. So it's kind of like I'm in a better place, I feel, now, because of all of the work that you all have been doing. And I just think it's really cool. So if we look at some of the major accomplishments to date, I mean, those are some of the ones that stand out to me. But I want to know from your perspective, if you were to highlight something to an FOA member or just anyone who's interested in this vehicle, what would you say, maybe starting with you first, Sybil, what would you say is something that you're really proud of that has happened in the past couple months?
Um, Actually, I swear I'm going to answer your question.
Okay, go for
I'm
it.
I'm gonna dodge it a little bit first, though, and I'm gonna say um, the happiness that you're experiencing right now, or the satisfaction that you're experiencing with like the fobs and the door handles. I think it's a double-edged sword. In in the short run, I see that there are wins, there are small wins like the fobs and the windshields and the door handles. But there will be short-term pain, right? Because there are certain parts that we just cannot get. It's very hard for us to get. So a classic example of this would be the parking sensors that are in the bumpers. They are custom made to Fisker, and it's been a 6-month long murder mystery trying to find somebody who's willing to manufacture these things again. And insurance companies don't like you buying like used sensors, right, for your bumper.
Hmm.
So there are those types of short-term pains that we're still trying to address as essentially lay people who are trying to start up a car company again. Um, I think in the long run, I I feel exactly where you are with, the experience of what Fisker is now versus what Volkswagen provides. Because with any of our phones or with Volkswagen, at a certain point, they're going to sunset further development of and support of anything, right? Because planned obsolescence or whatever. But because of the trial by fire, bankruptcy of Fisker, we now have this group of owners who have, for better or worse, come together to try to make this life raft go as far as possible. And you wouldn't necessarily have that with a what is it, a Volkswagen Touareg or a whatever, because there was
Hmm.
no need for everybody to come together for it. But this is why the software exists. This is why we have STLs and step files of 3D printable replacement pieces for the car, right? This is why we're, going to have um, uh, manufacturers of parts in the US also, like alternatives. Like they're all going to be homegrown and owner made, essentially. And so I would say some of the wins are, I'm just not even the windshields or the key fobs, but like it's in the hands of an ownership group that we can program our own keys now, right? I'm going to kind of steal Guillaume's like thunder here and say it's not just the key fobs, being able to program the key fobs, but to build out a digital key and have your own app. That's amazing, right? But we have people working on a trailer hitch module for, so your trailer hitch can now be connected into your car also, right? Whereas Fisker never would have done that. I don't think
Hmm.
Fisker would have ever done that. But because there is no mothership anymore, I
Yeah,
think that's one of the good long-term positives that we have. In terms of like immediate wins that we've had, Tsunami did not take a dime of FOA money as startup funds. It was a very generous owner that essentially gave us a small business loan. And one of our wins was we paid back the entire business loan by April, like this April. So
that's so
within
cool.
within 6 months, we were able to do that, and we did that without gouging owners
Wow.
either, right? So key fobs when we started, they were what was it? The one in Nebraska. What is it? The one in Nebraska? Um, I forgot who they were. They were charging like literally over $1,000 a key fob, like for the key fob and then programming. So like that was what we were trying to prevent.
Right.
And
Right.
so without gouging, right, we were able to buy and sell parts enough to be able to generate enough cash flow to get Tsunami completely self-sustaining without using any membership dues. So all the SKUs that
That's
you see
cool.
on Tsunami, all the inventory that we're holding right now, all the availability of windshields, it's like barely over cost. I'm also very proud that we're able to provide diagnostic tools for service providers at cost also, to
Hmm.
give them the purchasing power of like get 10, 15 people together to do a group buy and then use the umbrella of, hey, we have XYZ permissions, we will help you buy the tools, whereas
Hmm.
one single independent service provider would not have been able to do that either. Yeah.
I love that. I mean, it was one of my biggest fears buying the car, honestly, was getting like behind a big truck on the highway and then the windscreen gets cracked and it's kind of like, okay, game over. It's
Yeah,
not the case at all anymore. All the pictures I've seen of like stacks of like windshields and then, like you just said, having those kinds of parts available for people that it's throughout the United States or European Union, wherever the people are, like they can get parts that they need and they're not going to be completely out of luck if something bad happens. So I think that's amazing. This might be a really good time, Guillaume, if you're up to it, to transition over to Undercurrent.
exactly. So, like Sybil was saying, it's essentially following the same model than Tsunami, essentially, where we wanted to have a separate entity that will protect FOA from any liabilities that we could have, especially because Undercurrent has had originally the sole mandate to own the IP through a memorandum of understanding that was established with American lease. So there was two reasons for that. One is that in case of issue, the same as Tsunami, if there is any information like IP leak or stuff like that, we didn't want to have to put the whole membership dues at risk in case of legal pursuit or whatever that could have happened. And second, to make sure that it will make at back at the day comfortable American lease, only select people like the employees will have access to the memorandum of understanding content, such as to be able to support cars owner by having access to specific tools to support owners in case of issues, like people who are getting lock or block or stuff like that, remotely to be able to intervene. So it follows the same model where, especially for to be able to access the IP, to protect the FOA from any liability, and also FOA being the only shareholders like Tsunami. So we wanted to make sure that every service that we'll be able to offer for service providers, for instance, will have we will be able to charge them for it, because we have like hours of support being dedicated to service providers, to owners. We are now we will be talking about connectivity later on, etc. And all the service can be only generate profit and be charged only through Undercurrent and not FOA for the same reason that Tsunami have.
Mhm.
That's quite about it for the
It's
introduction.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's picking up the pieces of where a company like Fisker once
Mm.
stood and having to recreate everything, which is quite an undertaking. It's no easy task to have to rebuild the parts and supply, like Sybil was just describing, but then also the, as you were just saying, Guillaume, the software side of things, and figuring out everything from connectivity to app development. It makes me really want to point out, especially to people who may not know as kind of behind the scenes what's happening with a group like FOA. You and I have been messaging back and forth over the past couple months about Ocean Link Pro, and Ocean Link Pro is a major undertaking of Undercurrent. Can you tell me just a little bit about what was the objective with making an app in the very first place? Why did we need to do that?
Yeah. So essentially, and that is really like a good credit to Maj about it. Essentially, um, the main issue is that when you have a company that goes bankrupt, essentially any traditional cars that are active, and you have a brand new cars that get out, especially modern cars like today's, have issues. All right, so they come with like glitch, like the Fisker Ocean have. They come with a lot of issues, like in your daily driving, can really make the experience degraded because of those issues that come and need to be fixed. Normally, under the warranties that you get when you have your cars, and like an active company will fix those issues, you will be able to go to a cars dealers and make it repair or fix whatever problems that you get. Like even recent new cars have those issues, whatever it's a Rivian or it's the latest GM or stuff like that. You have the same issue. Um, because we don't have those warranty, it means that every issues that you are facing as an owner on your car, small issues as even as they are, you need to fix them by yourself or to go to a service providers that will, of course, charge you for their time to be able to fix this issue or to be able to diagnostic what's wrong on your car. Sometimes it could be like a small issue that could have been fixed in 10 minutes and not being charged like $800 for just for the time and travel and come back for the service providers. So the idea that Maj come for originally is that I should be able to, because we don't have the support that normally come with a live company, to be able to at least do the basic minimum diagnostic and support for my car without having to pay $100 just for a quick intervention of the car. Of course, if stuff gets serious, so then yeah, you go seek a service providers with who we are building a network to work with. So that was the original idea, to have Ocean Link Pro being at first give you a quick diagnostic solution to know what's going on in your car. And then after that, unlock the features such as digital key later on connectivity, etc., and other features that we'll be talking about while Australian Pro is coming at the center of what we're going to build.
I think that's amazing. Guillaume, what would you say is something that makes you really proud of where we've come so far?
Yeah, so I think there is a bit of what Sybil said already regarding the fact that because there is not like a big, huge corporation that are dealing with hundred of thousands of cars that goes on the road, we are like a smaller entities that can really explore quicker and faster, like alternative solutions and what we would like to integrate inside our solutions to owners. Um, for example, we have like Ocean Limpo like now that is one center app like that does diagnostic digital keys. Soon we'll be able to manage your connectivity platforms. You will have other features that will be coming along the way integrated inside that app. And it's really because we have like talented people like inside Undercurrent that really takes the time to investigate and make some proof of concept for some side of things, like for ADAS exploration, like for right now we are looking at connectivity, ABRP, and all that kind of stuff that are currently being explored inside Undercurrent. It's really give us that latitude to be able to do so. Of course, we are all like volunteer at the moment, so it comes with that capacity and time that people can give. So you get only the speed of what people have like availability for a week or so, let's say. But a big accomplishment is that it's since when we, aside from OLP, we start to get like on part with going with service providers to be able to really unbrake a gear shifter or car, or for example, to be able to unbrake cars that have like nasty issues that we have collected that were other other companies or entity have totally giving up on that cars, and we came back on it and we find a solution for it. That's the main reason for that. It's because we take the time to do so because we are volunteer. Unlike a paid company where of course they have time constraint and budget constraint, and they will expend only so much time on a specific car and will not go further. So that's one of our big advantage. We have like unbricked around 16 cars since we have started with Undercurrent, and different people inside it have done it through the software that has been provided for with OFT and stuff like that that we have purchased from Tsunami. So it's really like a big accomplishment on aside from ORC and Pro that we have like now we have really expertise on that car to go really at a deep level and understand exactly what issue a car can have and how otherwise where to go to get a specific fix, either it's Magna or another third party provider that we need to. Another interesting fact as well is that we are more and more collaborating with partners such as Chevalier that we thanks a lot. You know, it's business as usual. They are doing their business, but they were really open and collaborative with us to be able to give us a new SDK for the digital key solution and so on. So we start to talk with other providers such as Magna, with that we never thought that we would be able to collaborate with. But nowadays we are talking with Magna around ADAS. We are talking with other providers or even Google because we know, you know, it's a large group of people. So we have people that have that either working at specific companies or do know people, and it creates that network where people will be able to engage us with other companies to be able to make some business with. So it's really interesting about that, having a network of providers that start to really collaborate with us. And it's just the beginning for this year as we have a lot of stuff coming in.
Yeah, that part is really cool to me. I mean, I think again, this community model is fascinating to me. I think it's unique in car ownership around the world. I mean, we are in this exclusive club of some less than 10,000 total manufactured vehicles in the world. And when it comes to things like even just the key fob programming that Sybil you were talking about and Guillaume, like I got to have the experience of going 20 minutes from my house to meet another Fisker Ocean Association volunteer who helped me to program my key fob. I got to chat with him, get to learn about his experience owning the vehicle. It was really fun. But then now moving forward, when you're talking about something like the Phona's key controller, PKC21, that is going to enable, in my case, for example, the Ocean Link Pro app to be even more useful because I'll be able to do things like lock and unlock my car, which I can't currently do with the app. But when we talk about something like Chevalier and being collaborative with us to update PKC to this new version 21, again, that'll be rolled out in this community model of meeting up with volunteers and getting access to the vehicle, talking to each other, learning about what we're all going through owning this car, but then also upgrading a really interesting part of the car that will enable like new functionality with the app and a lot more moving forward. So I think it's a really fun part of the ownership model. It's not like everybody's cup of tea. I totally recognize that. Some people just want to go give their car to the mechanic or the dealer and say, fix this thing. And then they come back and they get their car and they move on with their life. But in this
Exactly.
case, we're in kind of a very social model where we do depend on the ability to have, these components of our car upgraded with this community model. So maybe I'll just ask if we wanted to just touch on really briefly kind of in just looking forward to the next couple months, what are some of the things that you wanted to mention that we could look forward to as Fisker owners in the near future? I don't know if Sybil, do you want to jump in? Are there things that like you can discuss?
Um, I think the next big, I guess, hump for us is the physical rollout of PKC 21, because there is gonna be a physical aspect to it. People will have to go to a meetup and have the software physically updated to their car. I'll leave it to Guillaume all the software and fun things that come with PKC 21. But Miles, as you were describing, this car ownership experience being, more than just, your ride. Do either of you guys remember Saturn, the car
Yeah,
company
of
Saturn, when it
course.
first launched, right? And they
Yeah.
had this whole big community piece to it, and it was actually fairly large. Like people did like being a part of that community of other Saturn owners. I almost feel like this community part is gonna have to be a big part of owning a Fisker Ocean. If you're just looking for a plain old ride, sure, a Fisker can fit the bill, but I think to get the full experience, it's really going to be being a part of that community and really, you know, um, I hate this life raft analogy, but everybody coming together on this life raft to help each other out.
Yep.
So I think getting these meetups together, getting everybody on PKC 21, um, some of the updates are going to go bad. They just are. Knowing Fisker and the percentage of phone key controller computer modules that are in the cars, some of them are just going to be bad and not happy. And uh, creating the pipeline, the process to make sure that those owners don't get high and dry and left behind. I think that's the next big milestone
Yep.
for Tsunami and my role within Undercurrent. G,
Yeah, no, I
thoughts?
was going to say exactly. It's
Yeah.
because we will have essentially like some contingency plan just in case, like let's say the PKC get breaks, and we will need to replace it, obviously, because otherwise the people will be not able to open their car anymore. But we have like prepare like some step to be able to make sure that we have like good battery condition, stuff like that. If so we'll have to reschedule if it's really it happened. So like make sure that we have PKCs in stock so that we can replace it. It's a pain to replace, but we have developed a way to replace it, especially with service provider partners that, of course, with their cost added into it. But we are really building a process for this. Regarding PKC21 specifically, it really allows to have more feature available inside the app for preconditioning, for especially like for whether it's summer or winter, you will be able to precondition your car, like let's say at 10 meter away because it's a Bluetooth connection only. You will be also able to have a 12-volt monitoring more detail around your follow your battery even when it will be totally offline. You will have as well as some specific advanced feature that will be only we are really talking about it. It's definitely would be for service providers because I think it's too risky to give it to owners and break their own cars, but it's subject to debate. There is really PKC21 really unlock um, a bunch of features that will be available at near the car and allow us from the PKC to talk better to other ECUs inside the car. So that's one of the aspects that I want to bring in, because right now, like we were talking about Ocean Link Pro, we have like 2,700 users that are like registered and use the app at least once in a month. So that's it. And for
And it's still in beta.
yeah, and it's still in beta. And active user per hours, we are like at 25 active user per hours. So that's for that's for iOS, 25 active users per hour. If I switch to Android, we are at 32 active user per hours. So it means every hour you have one person that at least open the app to do an operation on his car. Okay, so whatever that it is. So it's really great for an app, being in the domain of app deployment and having like analytics and stuff like that going on an app. So average of a app being active, engaged on it, it's around 10 to 15 user per hours per platform. So having people going into the app for whatever it's probably to unlock, lock, just that, it's already a big advantage for us. We will be providing those details like along the months, like more analytics that we'll be publishing inside the discourse. But I think it would be great to see people, exactly what Ocean Pro is doing at the moment for people on their daily life. One other element that I want to bring again is that we are
Mm-hmm.
going to have connectivity. We are having active discussion with T-Mobile. Right now, the big hurdle, I would say, it's mostly contract and legal stuff between parties. Not that they don't want it, because they want to make sure that everything is okay before we are going to have a contract and a platform or first vehicle connected. So in the next few weeks, a few contract discussion will be happening with T-Mobile. Also, we will have some training to be able to use the connectivity platform to enable the cars. We need to set up Ocean Pro to be able to have a consent form that owners will agree to be able to transfer their data to our new contract. All that stuff will happen in the next few weeks.
Can I jump in
Sure,
and
of
add
course.
to
Yeah,
that?
go ahead. Yeah.
Is I think that's one of the
Mm,
milestones
yeah.
that we want to hit within the next few weeks.
Yeah.
Um, is Guillaume had mentioned
Mm,
how uh, building out these networks and corporate relationships were
mm,
one of the things that we're working on. I think that's a milestone that
mm,
once we get over contractual relationships, we will be able to run a lot faster and a lot
mm,
further.
yeah.
When Fisker crumbled, we found out that this whole topic of intellectual property, of what did we exactly buy when we bought a car, is completely untested in the legal world. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, with T-Mobile getting cut, right? When we buy our phones, there's a SIM number, and then there's an IMEI that's tied with your phone. When
Mm-hmm.
we bought our cars, did we buy our SIM and did we buy the IMEI also?
Exactly. It's
People are
generating
arguing this. Like
back and
T-Mobile's
forth
like,
discussion.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
T-Mobile wants us
Yeah.
to pay for telecommunication
Of
service, but
course.
they're like, we don't know if we can provide you, like, if you want it. So
Right.
we're right now blazing legal paths to make arguments of no, we own our sim and we own our EMI, like
Yeah.
we should have our have
Yeah.
control of our
To be
things.
to be even more specific, because we have really like even previous lawyers that were working at Fiskers on even like specialists on the topics that help us detangle that situation. Essentially, what they are saying is that when you bought the car, you purchased every component of the car that currently installed on the vehicle. All right, it's at the instant T of your vehicle. Every IDs, the serial numbers, all those information, you own it. It's what they say. It's just T-Mobile is like, yes, but for example, but currently those IDs are currently on the American lease contract. So they need to accept to release that contract, those IDs from their contract to go into our contract. So that's the kind of discussion. It's only just about T-Mobile, but it's for every aspect of the car. Let's say even
Hollywood mode
Hollywood
is like
mode.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hollywood
Hmm.
mode. You want to be able to make modification, it requires IP to be able to update the car because you are going to make a modification, an extension of the car. The only part that weirdly was not part of the is PKC. It's part of the Chevalier's.
Mm.
In fact, it's not the only part. There's a lot. There's T-Box as well. A
Right,
lot.
that's why we're able to move quickly
Yeah,
on relatively quickly on the PKC
yeah,
is
mhm,
the technology partner Chevalier,
yeah,
like
yeah,
they put a line in the sand and they
yeah,
said, okay, we own the IP, and
yeah,
just as long as you have an agreement with us,
yeah.
we can work together. And so that's the IP agreement that we have with Chevalier. And now it's a matter of getting that agreement with every single other
Every
technology
vendor that
provider.
does it. Yeah, and it make a huge support on the intellectual property, and it's where Undercurrent is navigating like to get the right to use it, having the permission to use it and a license to use it to be able to do update and perform maintenance for an owner's vehicle. So that our current roadblock at the moment, aside from T-Mobile, is because we to be able to talk to some manufacturers, we need that license to be able to say, hey, we have legally the right to be able to do so. And some manufacturers already said to us that their legal team told them that they cannot talk to us until we have a proper legal control, let's say, license to make modification on the car. So yeah, go ahead, Sybil.
No, I was gonna say it's not
Yeah.
sexy, but
Mm.
I
Yeah,
think that would be the next big win
yeah,
is once we get legitimacy
yeah.
in the eyes of like these vendors
Hmm.
that we're trying to work with.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, those are big hurdles. I mean, I think it does kind of tie things together in a really nice way though, because if the car is supported by a passionate group of volunteers in a community model, and if the members of this organization believe in this model, the I think the opportunities out there are just endless because it's not driven by some kind of corporate profit model, which is the typical model, right? Like I'm really trying hard not to beat up on a manufacturer of a vehicle that I also own. I'm not going to mention them again. I'm just going to say that when big companies decide it's no longer profitable for them to do things, they just stop. They don't keep going. They just stop because it's not profitable. End of story. Whereas in our case, it's a group of people who have decided, no, we want these upgrades. We want improvements to the car. We want to be able to unlock the car with our phone. We want to have connectivity. We want to have, apps that we could have on the car. We want to have all these different features. And these are all things that as we work together and we figure out piece by
yeah,
piece, the car is getting better and better every single month. But it does take a little bit of convincing, I think, for the general owner who's maybe not a part of the FOA and looking at the car and just saying, okay, I paid this amount of money for the car. I don't really care about any of those features. I'm just going to drive it until it dies. That's certainly one way to see things. But I think the more of us who are interested in the car giving us the best possible experience and sticking together, the better of an experience we'll have as owners of the car moving forward.
yeah.
So
And just to add to what you were saying, um, just to try to see the pros and cons on that formula. Of course, because there is like some challenges to work like in that model where we have a
Mm.
volunteer group that can only give so much of their time in a day, let's say. And
Mhm.
of course, when you buy a car, like we said earlier, you if you have an issue, you'll go to the car dealership and they will get it fixed, or go on support and they will get it fixed. If it's complex, so whether it's a new car or not, either you will have to pay for a subscription and you get it done, etc., or they will do so much on your cars if depending on the complexity of the issues. Where unlike in our model, we you're sure like at least until the last ocean that is on the road, you will still have associations that will be here to support the development on and giving advice with a community groups that will still be around to be able to unlock a situation. But of course, stuff have moving kind of slower at some point because we need to get all legal issues, all compliance stuff, all making sure that depending of the good people availability, some people are taking a vacation, have less time, etc. We have to manage all that stuff. So being able to commit to timeline, for example, could be a challenge because we don't know if how many hours we'll have in a month or some stuff like this. So it comes with advantage because, of course, you get stuff more kind of more cheaper because it's you don't have to pay a high salary of
Mhm.
employees that will work on the platform for you to service you. But in the same time, you get like probably not as fast response, but maybe more dedicated response because the person that will
Mhm.
help you want to do it because it's a volunteer. Um,
Right.
yeah, that's the difference for me.
That's a strong point.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm going to just offer in the sense of kind of wrapping up this show because I think we have an objective to discuss the various different components of the FOA. I think we did that. I just want to see if there's any other final comments that you all had in mind that you wanted to bring up in this particular episode. Hopefully there'll be more that you can be a part of, but we'll just start with you, Sybil. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention?
I mean, I hope these are the organizations that that we need, that we don't have to create anymore, going forward. Um, in the midst of these three organizations also is also communication and organization and advocacy for the our service provider network, also. So because they use parts, they install software, they field questions about connectivity for their cars, they need training on these diagnostic tools. And the relationship with our service providers cuts across all of these organizations. And I think that's one thing we cannot forget about. Um, as time moves forward and there are fewer and fewer oceans on the road, um, we need to make sure that the service provider, I guess, supply is there. That they know what they're doing, they have the time in their schedules that they can still carve out to service oceans, and travel out to providers. And so that's a big thing on our list to be aware of and facilitate.
Yeah. And what I can say is that as well, when we start those entities, like, I mean, back in January, when everything started to be shifted over to American knees and FOA, I think the mindset was like, we have 5 years to be able to build something because let's say the majority of the car will have probably a 5 year lifetime. And probably some will stay a little bit longer, but let's say the majority will be 5 years, so all the initiatives that we need to build up and to have, even if at the end there's like let's say 1,000 car only left on the road, I don't know, it should be complete by then that we can make sure that there will be no more further extra development needed on the software side. So we are trying to build a roadmap for owners that will be like more clearer to understand for the next 5 years what we want to do, because of course we will have a subset of budget available per years, let's say, each. And all those features that we will now, right now we have Ocean Link Pro, we have connectivity. We know that people want ICC, Android Auto, CarPlay. but can it enter this year? Probably yes, probably no. So maybe we'll have to go next year, stuff like that. What will go next year? Depending of all those features, we need to build that roadmap that owner can understand exactly per years. What if is it like a 2-3 years development? Is it like just a 2-3 month development? And like knowing that by in 5 years essentially has to be done, kind of.
What the stable
Yeah,
like
a stable
vehicle.
version. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like it's enabling owners like new owners like you that come on board that is super fulfilling. Like you're the generation of owner that came on board knowing about the adventure that you're going to be taking. So I think that's what a lot of the cool software tools are being built for,
Yeah.
and the structure of the community is being built for is this adventure seeking
Yeah, definitely,
owner.
because I think especially you have people like they were like they come into that situation like forcefully, and they are kind of pessimistic for everything. Where having that new vision give like a new perspective of things, and ideas that we could explore. So I think that's really great, like to have new people like you, Miles, because it really give
They
motivation.
are itching for this fight.
Exactly, searching for trouble,
Yes.
and
So much more fun to live this way. I'm telling you, so much
Right?
more fun.
yeah,
Sybil
Yeah.
can't have a normal car.
yeah.
No.
I'm going to buy another one. I'm telling you. I was like this close to getting a second one. But yeah, just a big thank you to both you, Sybil, and you, Guillaume, for being a part of this episode. It was amazing to get into all the finer details about Tsunami, Tidal Wave, and Undercurrent. There's a lot that we have to look forward to, but definitely just wanted to thank you both for being a part of this, and hope that everyone enjoyed hearing from you, what we have planned, and what we've accomplished to date.